Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Portsmouth This Week. I'm Bob Poniatowski, a temporary host sitting in for Doug Smith. And for the next couple of weeks or so, we're going to be focusing on public schools in the town of Portsmouth. And we'll be interviewing various principals from around the town. And we're going to begin at the top, so to speak, with the high school. And we're very pleased to welcome Robert Littlefield. He's the principal of Portsmouth High School. Good to see you.
Great to be here this morning.
Yeah. Great. Now, you've been in town as principal for 17 years. Yeah. And for the benefit of those who don't know you, tell us a bit about where you were before and what kind of background you bring to Portsmouth.
I'm not a native Rhode Islander, but I feel like one now. I started out in, I'm from the Boston area. I grew up there and started my teaching career as a history teacher in Norwell, Massachusetts. I was there 18 years and then fell in love and moved to Rhode Island and became an assistant principal at South Kingstown High School. Still married to the same woman, so that's worked out well. And likewise, my move to Rhode Island. I love it here. It's my
what was your
adopted
study?
Home state.
Yeah, of when you were at Norwell and all that. You were a teacher.
I was a history teacher. I coached track and field for 18 years there.
Oh boy.
I was a history major at Bates College, and so it worked out very, very well.
Yeah. Well, you've enjoyed, I think, a great deal of success here in Portsmouth, and we're glad to have you. Moving on to other topics, as a veteran educator, I wrote all this down. You've seen many changes in high schools over the years, and from the time that you've been in Portsmouth, you want to share with us some of the changes that have occurred in secondary education?
Sure. The biggest one that you would see if you anyone that came to visit to the school is obviously the technology, and that's just become so much a part of our life, and we've become so dependent on it to create a real lively, vibrant community. Technology is a part of everything that we do. We integrate it into our instruction. We're even stepping up now to take our first set of tests online. So it's going to be
You mean the kneecap or whatever?
Well, we're getting ready for our PARC test. So the first rollout of PARC, and that's going to be totally online, which brings up my other significant change that I've witnessed. When I started in Portsmouth, there was a set curriculum, but our teachers had a tremendous amount of latitude about what to do with that curriculum, and many of them pursuing their own passions. Now, there's a state and there's a federal agenda that is setting the standards that schools have to strive for, and that's been a significant change in the way we operate now. Is getting all of our curricula geared toward those standards in reading and math and in writing.
Do you feel that that's been an improvement on what was, or do you think that making those mandatory has robbed us of some other things that teachers used to do and could do?
That's the million-dollar question.
That's why you're here.
Yeah, very good.
I've just begun.
We're definitely more focused on turning out students who have the basic skills of communication through reading and writing, and the problem-solving skills that you develop in studying mathematics. And I like to say what's changed now is that certainly our math teachers are teaching math, focused on the standards, And everyone else is teaching, yes, they're teaching their content area, but everyone is also a teacher of reading, and everyone is also
Reading
a teacher
across
of
the
writing.
curriculum, yeah.
So we're developing literacy skills across the curriculum in art and in health, and as well as in history and English, and everybody is working on their writing skills. So in that way, it's a definite improvement. But yes, you do give up that. You do give up a certain degree of individuality.
Some enrichment in the teachable moment, you know, like a teacher's got to decide. I had an experience with this what we're talking about, but I've also got to keep focus on these skills and so forth. So I can't share that with you, or something happens in society or in the school that would be an opportunity to deal with something, but then you'd have to deviate. But I suppose you have to compromise that.
You compromise. So obviously, you can't waste time. You got to take advantage of all of our instructional time. And if you do, there is room for that enrichment. There is room for that spontaneity. I don't want
time management.
Yeah, I don't want to give the impression that that's all been lost, but.
Well, no, it calls for a different set of skills on the part of the teacher to manage all that, which is new and different from how they've been trained and how they've experienced so far. I hope it's all to the common, to the good. It brings us to another topic about something that's vogue now, and it's called the Common Core. And again, this came out of Washington, didn't it, or where did that originate?
It emanated from Washington, actually, in response to the Organization of the Nations Governors, and they were the ones back in the 1990s that gathered and started the momentum for what would eventually become the No Child Left Behind Act.
Okay.
Of establishing first of all establishing common standards and establishing a way to hold all schools accountable. So now we have this all 50 states engage. Then that we've been engaging in a state-sponsored testing program, and this spring now you're going to see states are now abandoning their individual testing programs, and we're now adopting a more national set of testing, and so that's what we're working toward.
That's still coming. I know that Portsmouth, and I'm not an insider obviously, but from what I read and from what I hear, Portsmouth is very much involved in planning, assessing, setting goals, targets, and so forth, and so. This looks like you're in a comfortable situation.
We've been working hard at it, and making sure that all of our teachers are aware of the standards, and that all of our teachers are aware of the part that they play in it. The standards are set up K through 12, so everyone's got to play their part. Like Belichick says, everybody's got to do their job. So. Everyone has to understand their role in teaching those standards.
As a former educator myself, that's quite a change in the thinking and in the performance of schools. I think it's a good change, but nevertheless. So you must, after you've hired a new teacher, there must be quite an orientation. Yeah, we hired you in the English department and the math department and social studies department, but here's how it all crisscrosses and reinforces and so forth. And so they have, and you're going to teach reading too.
And you're going to teach reading too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I like to say, years ago, if we graduated a kid who was reading at the 6th grade level, we all did our job because we stopped teaching reading after grade 6. And now we've recognized that the kind of literacy skills that you need are so complex that you got to remain focused on those. So we make sure that all of our teachers are challenging our kids to read complex text and do critical thinking about what it is that they're reading. So it's pretty intense, and I really think that our kids are going to be all the better for it.
One of the things that over the years, my experience was not only as a student in high school, but as a teacher, was that we segmented knowledge so much, and the traditional 7-period day block just invited kids to think, okay, I'm in math now, forget reading, or I'm in social studies, forget English. And I think this new trend seems to be very healthy to say that knowledge is sort of all conjoined, and you got to treat it that way. Otherwise, the kid's going to keep going to segment the knowledge himself. So those are interesting trends. Just again, something that's a lot of changes with in my lifetime is this whole business of SAT scores. You know, I come from an era where they were used to judge a school's performance. They would kids' predictive success in college, and there was just so much stress on it. I understand that that's undergone some rapid changes in recent times.
Yeah, it has. And it used to be called SAT used to stand for something. It was the Scholastic Aptitude Test.
I remember it.
No one ever uses that anymore. They've dropped that, and they're simply the SAT. It's still pretty important. It's important for kids, for a lot of kids who are applying to colleges and universities. I'm kind of proud of the fact that I went to Bates College, and 25 years ago, Bates College started a study. Well, 25 years ago, Bates College stopped requiring applicants to submit their SAT scores. It was optional, and their admissions department took that very seriously, where they had undergraduates actually, you know, if the transcript came and it had the SAT scores, they blacked it out so no one would ever see them. And that was their practice for 25 years. So you had these students going through this college for a period of 25 years, some of whom had submitted their SAT scores and some of them kept it blacked out. After 25 years, the college could not tell the difference in performance between the students who had submitted scores and the students who had not submitted scores. There was no discernible difference, which really has kind of shaken the SAT world.
Oh yeah.
And that study had a lot to do with the College Board making changes to the SAT that you're going to see a year from now.
Very much
in the spring.
Yeah.
As they try to stay. They try to stay relevant and making the test less of an aptitude test and more of a measurement of what it is that you've learned while you're in high school.
Yes. Unfortunately, the myth at the time was that the aptitude test was being used as a measure of the success of the school's program.
Well, there is that, and you know, I do like to say to my faculty and remind them that for the people in the community who may not know all of the ins and outs of a school, there are still these data points. There are still these test scores that are, like it or not, our stock price. And so we feel we have an obligation to the community to ensure the community that they're getting their money's worth, that they're getting the quality product that they're asking for. So things like the SAT scores for the schools, school-wide SAT scores, are still they're still important to us, as are our kneecap scores, and our park scores coming up into the next
Oh,
round.
we love numbers, don't we?
Well, we do.
If you follow baseball,
Yeah.
you gotta love numbers.
Sure, you look at a guy's batting average, right, and you think that that's the measurement of him as a player.
Yeah.
When we walk kids across the stage, and he gets a Portsmouth High diploma, it's so much. It's a much more complex concept to grasp what an education has done for that boy or girl.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a shame to boil it all down to a number, because it's so much more complicated and nuanced than that.
Yes, it is. It is. But as you said, we need, excuse me, we need the numbers. The other thing I want to talk to you about briefly is there have been some initiatives recently about consolidating the schools on the island. There was a study that began, I guess, in Middletown. Portsmouth decided, no thank you, we don't want to participate. And most recently, the special education program, which was a regional program, Portsmouth has said, no thank you, we're going to go it alone. And I just wonder, what do you make of that? Is that healthy, or is that, I know it's an individual decision based on values and in people other than just yourself involved with that, but with the hue and cry about consolidating being more economical, more opportunity-ridden, laden, and so forth, Portsmouth just decides, well, let somebody else do it, I guess. What do you think?
Well, I think the encouraging part of that is that Portsmouth as a community believes in their schools. And believes that as a community we can pull together and serve our young men and women well, and that's something to be proud of, and so I feel fortunate to be part of a community that has that confidence. I've been the principal for 17 years. We just went through our 50th anniversary as a high school. Celebrating 50 years of Portsmouth High, and I've kind of become a historian of the school and the life of the school. What few people know is before there was a Portsmouth High School, the high school students of Portsmouth were pretty nomadic.
Yes.
They went to Newport and Fall River and Bristol, and when they came to the realization that they needed a place for their students to go, they were asked. Portsmouth at the time was asking for consolidation, and no one wanted to have anything to do with us. So that's the irony, is that now, over the course of these 50 years, we've built a school community that is strong and confident.
Yes,
and we're ready to go it on our own.
Yeah, I gather that, and your response is, I think, very appropriate. Some of the other communities, without mentioning them, are hurting with numbers, and I understand ours is falling also in Portsmouth, but there are others that are falling much more, and so their opportunities will be less. So the economics of it and so forth are forcing them to look for cooperation and so forth, whereas Portsmouth, I guess, is the largest population in the county.
In the county we are, yeah.
And that means that you can provide the education and the experiences. Portsmouth High School has an excellent academic program. How is it still like developed, or does do the state mandates and everything sort of force you to go down a certain lane? I mean, do you have people in the building and in the community making changes in the curriculum based on perceived needs, or do you wait for the outside to say, okay, put in this unit or that unit or whatever? How does that work?
The state sets the standards, and the state sets the goals, the expectations, that we expect your students will be able to do this, will be able to demonstrate their skills in this way. Now, you as a local community, you figure out how you're going to do that. You write your own curriculum. You develop your own instructional strategies. You figure out how to use technology to make it easier for kids to learn and engage them. So the only thing that comes down on us is the expectations, and then we've got to work together as a learning community.
In a way, that's a blessing, isn't it?
It's a and that's the balance. That's the respect of local control and giving individual school communities the latitude to figure out what works best for them.
Yeah, it sets the goals and the targets, and then it makes you spend your time not on arguing what should be in it, but how best to implement it, and I think that's a benefit.
And that's what we do, yeah, all the time. That's what we're working on.
I'd be remiss if I didn't mention two areas. One is the creative part, the arts, and the music department. Both, I was going to say renowned, but that sounds like I'm doing your job. You get a lot of students participating in the art program that win awards and gold keys. Your band is renowned, both here and far away, and that's an effort, obviously, on a conscious effort to support and do that.
Right, and so I'm glad you brought that up. So what that shows is, and when you look at us, our math scores are up, our reading scores are up, our science scores are up. So you might say, well, you know, you're sacrificing a lot to get there. But our enrollment in our art courses and in our music program are up. And we've got 160 kids, for instance, involved in our marching band. This year at the state Scholastic Art Competition, we had more awards than any other any other school in the state. So, well, you used renowned. I would too, and we're proud of that. And so we've not lost our creative spirit. We've not sacrificed the opportunity for kids to learn how to express themselves artistically.
The balance.
Right.
The other thing I know you want me to mention is the advanced placement courses.
We've made some tremendous gains there. We've been recognized now for the second year in a row by the College Board as an honor roll high school, meaning we've increased the number of students who are taking part in college-level courses while they're at Portsmouth High, and at the same time that we're increasing participation, we're increasing our achievement scores, and that got us placed on the College Board honor roll. We think that the more we can get our students at the high school level exposed to college-level work, that we're going to increase their chances of graduating college in 4 years. And so that's something that's been very, very important to us, and we're making some great progress.
Those are the benefits. The benefits, it strikes me, is that you get college credit so that there's a payoff, but also you get a prep to avoid the freshman shock of suddenly finding you're not in high school anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Now, and professors are not going to be as doting over you. Here's the text, here's the program, go, and you'll be ready for that. I understand. The other thing that I'd like you to comment on is the things that the society makes schools responsible for. I'm thinking of, well, currently security, violence, bullying, rape, drugs. All of that seems to descend on the big job you have to do now on skills, and you've got to integrate all these other things. How do you?
Right. Oh, yeah. Oh, and while you're looking out for those things, can you make sure that they meet all the math standards?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's no bigger community investment than the schools, certainly, and so we've got an obligation to make sure that they are that they're safe, and that they're places where kids are going to be healthy and comfortable, and they're going to be able to enjoy their learning. So we do pay particular attention to security. And to making sure that the school atmosphere is safe and free of harassment and free of bullying, and so that does take up resources, absolutely, but it's worth it.
Well, it seems like you can't avoid it. It's on your doorstep.
Right.
It's in your building. We talked briefly previously about the mental health emphasis these days, with so much in the national view of incidents, tragic incidents that come down to there was a mental health problem there that people didn't pick up on. And I was, I guess, elated and surprised that you have a SWAT team in the mental health area, right? You have.
Well, we've got a good team.
Sensitized.
We've got a good team of guidance counselors and a nurse and social worker and psychologist and student assistance counselor who are focused on the mental well-being of our students. I'm very fortunate that they work together, that kids feel comfortable, kids know that we're watching out for their well-being, and it's a really important component if you're going to have a successful high school.
Yeah, it's interesting. You do what you have to do. The other thing before we wind up is that your school, especially the high school, not to dismay the others, has a good reputation in the community. Do you do a sort of a conscious outreach, or is it just like in poker, let the cards speak for themselves?
No. Well, here I am today to promote our school. So thank you for the opportunity. But we try to get the word out. We want the public to see what's going on in our school. A great opportunity for that is to come and join us for judging our senior projects every spring. We welcome as many judges as we can get in the school for those days, so that people should be looking for notices. It's a great opportunity for folks to get into the school and see the product that we're turning out.
And indeed, it is a good one. And there's so many other topics we could cover, because as a layman now, I read the paper, I try to stay informed, and I see a lot of good stuff. I was going to say, did we leave anything out? But we haven't got time to do anymore. Robert, I want to thank you very much for coming.
All right, thanks for the opportunity.
Portsmouth.
I love talking about our school.
Oh, I can see it.
Yeah.
You're a happy camper.
Yes, I am.
And that's it, folks. In succeeding weeks, we'll be reviewing the situation in the elementary school and the middle school here on Portsmouth This Week. Until we meet again, Bob Poniatowski, have a good day.